Hey there guys, back here once again with another Linux vlog. Haven't done one in quite a while, and just had a lot of different things going on. And of course, as you know, the whole coronavirus pandemic is going on as well. So it makes for a rather, it makes it just a rather crazy situation. So, but anyways, let's get into talking about some Linux stuff. And this is just a common thing that, I went through this phase as well, and I'm sure, people out there are going to do the same. And it's basically which distribution, which distro should I start with? And this topic comes up a lot of times, and, I can fully understand. Because, if you look into Linux distributions, you're not going to find just one or two. You're going to find all kinds of them, hundreds of them, of different distributions out there. So it's like, for a new person, well, which one should I go with? And I'm going to keep this as simple as possible, and that basically is, if you've done any kind of searching on Linux distributions, and tried to kind of help with making a decision. My honest recommendation is go with something that is Ubuntu based. Okay, Ubuntu itself was developed quite a while back, and it was geared of course at being a easy to use distribution, something that someone from using Windows could easily transition into and begin using Linux. That was basically the whole purpose, one of the main focuses of the Ubuntu distribution. Now, nowadays, since Ubuntu has got quite a following, you have a lot of these other offshoots as well. All these other distributions that are based on Ubuntu. So as long as you kind of stay within the Ubuntu realm of things, I think you'll have a pretty good experience. You'll have good hardware support. There are, of course, lots of forums and places out there to get help if you have something with your Ubuntu set that's not working right or something like that. So it's got a good fan base, and it's a good place to start if you're brand new. Now, I went on to DistroWatchcom, which is a common place to look for some current Linux distributions, and there's a place on there where you can actually do more of a filter or try to find a distribution, and it gives you different filter options to go through, what it's based on, what the graphical user interface is, what your hardware is. You can really get down to some specifics there. But just typing, or just basically just setting up a search for Ubuntu-based distributions will give you a good list of ones to start with. And I did it here for Ubuntu-based distributions, and we've got Linux Mint, Elementary OS, Zorin OS, KDE Neon, Pop OS, Ubuntu, I guess it's Kylin or Keylin, I'm not sure. Peppermint OS, Linux Lite, Lubuntu, Xubuntu, Kubuntu, Ubuntu Mate, Bodhi Linux, and even more from there. So that gives you at least a good list, at least at current as of now. That gives you a good list of distributions that you can sort of look into, or at least give you a good place to start looking. Now, something I do want to point out as well, in terms of distributions, is a lot of times with the different distributions, you will get different graphical user interfaces. Kind of unlike Windows, you had pretty much the standard Windows interface. With Linux, there have been many that have been developed over time. Okay, and basically, if you have a relatively fast machine, something that's kind of modern, quad-core CPU, probably 8 gig of RAM, something that's relatively modern within the past couple of years, then you probably will want to check out an Ubuntu distribution or an Ubuntu-based distribution that has like the KDE interface or KDE GUI, or KDE graphical user interface. you want to probably pick something like that, because that graphical user interface is more high end and requires a little more resources, gives you a lot of customizability options, and it's really, really nice looking and has some cool window effects and things like that. So that might be something to look into if you have a relatively modern machine. If you've got something a little bit older, there are lots of lightweight graphical user interfaces out there. For example, I used Cinnamon for quite a while. There's also Mate, XFCE, LXQT. Um, just there's quite a good handful of different lightweight graphical user interfaces that'll you can pick from. And if you go online and just kind of do a little search for some of these graphical user interfaces, maybe get some pictures, kind of give you an idea what the interface looks like. So, that there should kind of give you a start too as well. And just to kind of throw this out there, there's one called Linux Lite, for example, that's Ubuntu based, and it is built for light machines, computers that are not super new, that are still work but are a little bit slower, and you can run Linux Lite on that kind of machine and get a pretty good experience out of it, despite the age and despite how slow it might appear to be. So that is one thing you'll find with Linux, especially, is that you can run it on old hardware, and it performs just as good as if it were brand new. So, just kind of things to look out for. So, Ubuntu-based distributions to kind of start out with, or if you really want to kind of get down to it, Debian-based distributions, because Ubuntu is based from Debian, which is like one of the core distributions that's out there. So if you stay within the Debian Ubuntu range of distributions, I think you'll have a pretty good experience. And like I said, just take a look at the different graphical user interfaces. KDE if you have a relatively good quick machine, and then of course Mate, Cinnamon, XFCE, some of those if you have kind of a slower machine. So, but anyways, hope this helps you in your journey, and I wish you the best of luck with it. If you have any questions, of course, just leave me a comment below. All right, well, that's all for me. Well, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.